agenda. Sorry. First item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is the open forum. Seeing nobody?
I just have one question, a small typo. My name has only one E, not two. So Terrance. It's listed with two E's in the first part. I've been fighting that for years. So, yeah, Terrance. And thank you for not putting an S after my name, my last name.
Okay, next item is approval of minutes dated January 14th. I'll make a motion to approve as presented. Any discussion or questions?
Need a second?
I thought I heard a second. A second, Brian, a second. No discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is presentation of the quarterly investment report from December 31, 24.
Okay, that would be me. And actually, do we have an attorney on Zoom right now?
I do not see him on.
Okay,
Yet.
so I guess I better play a quick role of attorney for just a quick second since we have a new trustee.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Are you familiar with sunshine law at all?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's one of the biggest things as a trustee here, then obviously, to make sure that any conversations about any items that come before the board only happen in the meetings. Really, that's the biggest thing, other than, do you have any pension background experience, knowledge?
Through audit, employee benefit plans more than specifically pension, but I
Okay.
do have.
Okay, great. So certainly, there may be a lot of new information over the coming quarters. Don't hesitate to ask questions and
Thank you.
let us know how we can help you. And just so you know, I'm Jeremy Langley with the League of Cities. We do the administration of your plan.
I see, okay.
You're getting emails from Joyce and
Joyce.
Jessica. Yeah, they're kind of doing the day-to-day.
Okay.
And then I'm here, so certainly we're resources for you anytime
Okay.
you have questions that we can help you out with.
Great, thank you.
Other than that, I guess we can.
And so a quick question, did you get a copy of like the chapter that regulates the fund, the state tax statute? Okay. Could you guys send that to her as a new trustee?
We can. Yeah.
There is a process
Plan documents, yeah.
through yet with the orientation.
Like an onboarding, right?
All of that stuff.
Okay. I had,
You all do that? Oh, okay, great.
I got a slide on sunshine laws and Florida ethics, and that was
Okay.
it.
Yeah, we have the board members sit with our attorney.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. All right, perfect. Sounds like you'll get some more information coming then.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Let's see. So due to us having a little bit of delay in having this meeting, we actually have the March 31st numbers as well. So I'll go over the December 31st and then go ahead and jump forward to the March 31st as well. And then we'll kind of just big picture the investments over those two quarters. So as far as the December 31st quarter, we started with a little over 11.4 million. There was 170,000 that came in contributions. There was a market sell-off in that quarter, so down 243,000. Paid out 23,000 in distributions, had 10,000 in expenses. So your ending balance for the quarter was $11,321,152.36. And then, as you can see on the screen, the following couple pages are the accounting for the December quarter. Any December quarter dollar or accounting questions? If not, I'll jump forward to the March numbers and then I'll go back and talk about the investments as a whole. No? Okay. So for the March quarter, obviously our beginning balance was the ending balance for the December quarter of 11.3 million. We had 135,000 come in contributions. Saw an earnings increase of 111,000, paid out 36,000 in distributions, had just under 13,000 expenses. So your ending balance was $11,519,011.33. And then same question again, any dollar or accounting related questions before we go to the investment side? No? Okay, unless you want me to, I'll go quickly over the December quarter for two reasons. One, obviously, it's quite a bit older news, and B, it wasn't as good as the March quarter. So, we did see a sell-off, as I mentioned. Really, all of that kind of came in mid-late December. So the fund was down a little over 2% for the December quarter. January was actually a really good month, and kind of made back pretty much all of the December quarter's losses. So kind of end of January, the fund was give or take kind of about flat for the fiscal year. And then February came around and things really started to get interesting. The first couple weeks were very calm, not much happening at all. And I think that was everybody going, okay, we've been hearing this tariff word. Let's see what that actually is gonna equate out to. And then as we know, kind of mid-late February, it became more than just talk, and actually there was implementation of tariffs, and that set the market spiraling. Saw a big sell-off, and then we've just been a lot of volatility since. The good news is actually, as we sit today, we've seen quite a bit of a rebound in the market. We're slightly off. We were kind of at all the major indexes were kind of at all-time highs mid-February. We haven't quite recovered to that point, but most of them have turned positive, kind of level or slightly positive for calendar year 25. So we've seen a nice rebound, and as you can imagine, right now, everything related to the word tariff is what seems to be moving the market on a minute-by-minute basis, seemingly. We've had some good news, which has helped to drive the rally, which is there was an agreement in place with the UK, and then obviously a couple days ago, coming in with the 90-day agreement with China, and that certainly has helped the markets rally again. So we've seen a couple different rallying points that have helped to right the ship quite a bit. The S&P 500, which I think is kind of a nice place to get an overall feel for what's going on, especially as it would relate to your pension fund. From the absolute highs of that mid-February to the lows was roughly a 20% sell-off. Like I said, we're not all the way back, but we're kind of back up to it's slightly positive for 2025. So as bad as things got for a while, as we sit today, things are certainly a lot better. Going back to just the March quarter, though, I'll certainly highlight that because I think it was a very good relative performance from our managers. We just got this information the end of last week. I expected the fund to be slightly down, but we were actually up 1% for the March quarter. So some of that, of course, came from fixed income. I say anytime. Generally, when you get a market sell-off, that's why you have that fixed income piece to help offset it, because that's where obviously a lot of money goes to. But additionally, what surprised me was how well the international portfolio performed. Was up almost 6% in the quarter. So the dollar, of course, weakened during the quarter, and that helped out. But then again, we had, the U.S. equity markets, especially the large cap, has dominated returns for so long now that even though the international market has performed fairly well, the values there, even though they're maybe a little elevated, aren't quite at the level that a lot of the U.S. equities got to, the valuation. So there was more kind of maybe opportunity for some growth in the international sector. So that kind of helped. And their monetary policy, I think they've let interest rates, they've started to loosen up there more aggressively than we have here as well. So there's some things at play that kind of help to give us some positive returns there that offset, because the U.S. markets were down for the quarter. Let me see. I think let me turn to the right page. The large cap down about 2.3% for the quarter, and the U.S. small cap down about 4.5%. So Again, the help came from the fixed income, the internationals. And then just to kind of note that the real estate market, again, does seem to appear to have turned a corner. And the fund was actually up 1.16% for the quarter. So it's nice to kind of see that it appears that we've gotten through the worst part, and that all really came from the COVID and the rising interest rates and the impacts we had on particular office space, and then just values of properties. There was a pretty sizable write-down during the COVID period there, but it seems like we've kind of come out of that and are starting to see good positive gains in that sector as well. So overall, I think this March report was a lot better than I was expecting to give you, so I'm happy about that. And then even as we sit here in May, certainly things seem to have, for the moment, seem to be on a good track again and moving positive. So we've got, another 4.5 months or so of the fiscal year to go, so we'll see how it all plays, or I guess, yeah, another 4.5 months. So we'll see where it ends up, but it's certainly been an interesting ride over the last few months. But as we sit today, I think overall you're probably maybe slightly positive for your fiscal year. I'll stop there, and certainly if you have any questions or want to go a little more in depth in anything, be happy to do that.
Volatility is fascinating. And, but again, slow and steady wins the race. So we
does.
just sit there and just chalk it up as another part of the game.
Yeah, I could not imagine trying to be a day trader right now. That'd be rough.
That'd be stressful.
Any questions, additional comments?
No, great.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Okay. And actually, I'll go ahead and just note real quick, the next two items, we're just one page. I'm not going to read them off to you all, but they're there. Just, I thought were good informational write-ups by our consultant, just kind of looking at the market as it pertains to tariffs. It's funny, I was looking at one, again, I read them, of course, when they first came in. I was looking at one, it was dated April 7th. So in the grand scheme of things, not that long ago. However, it notes that the S&P was down 13% at that point, and here we are probably slightly positive just a month later, which again goes back to the volatility that that we've been experiencing. But I still think it's, still makes good brief reads just to kind of get an overall view of how they're looking at things and how they're looking at the market as a whole.
Any questions for Jeremy on those? Next item is the administrative budget, the report. So this is just information for us to see how the fund is doing according to the budget. Any questions? So the city provides this for us and gives us information. Looks like last year and this year. Any questions on that?
Nope. Not here.
Thank you. Next item is ratification of expenses and distributions. These are all expenses, obviously, that come out of the fund. Quarterly fees, attorney fees. We do have the ability to attend conferences, which the board will pay for travel and conference fees. That's what that last line is. I had attended the state conference. Just need a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
A second.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next is a review of share plan distribution calculation.
Okay. Is Madison on there? Am I seeing? Okay. Madison, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Have you had any conversation with Pedro, or maybe you're the one that's been doing it as far as the share plan calculation discussion?
I have not.
No? Okay.
Is there something that needed to be addressed on that today besides just the approval of the ordinance that's on your screen?
Well, yes, so we had a
Okay.
question about the calculation of the share plan. And I believe at the end of the day, kind of the thought was probably it's a board decision to decide how to go about it. So this would impact somebody who retires mid-quarter, which most likely is always going to happen. So then the question is, as it relates to the share plan calculation, do we go back and just use the most recent quarter end? And that's the stopping point for the calculation, investment returns for the share plan dollars? Or if somebody's in a quarter, do you wait till that quarter ends and then reflect however the performance of the investments for that quarter end?
So this is your plan is newly creating a share plan distribution. Is that correct?
No, this is just how we want to go about that. What
Calculating.
date we want to use to do the final value of the share plan before we pay out a retiree. Are we using the most recent quarter end, or are we waiting and then using the end of the quarter that they retire within? And
I
so
think
that's,
it's most typically done that you wait until the end of the quarter from which the retiree is currently in. But I've also seen it done the other way. So it could just be up to the board how they want to do the calculations. Have you spoken with the actuary at all about this?
no, I don't, my first thought there is I don't think the actuary would have a dog in this fight. Because I don't think, to your point, it's been done either way. The only thing I would say, and I apologize to take the other stances, I think a lot of the ones we work with happen to do it the other way, where they just take the most recent quarter end.
Okay.
And work off of that.
That's a possibility. You could do it that way as well. I
Yeah.
think it's up to the discretion of the board.
I do agree, yeah. I think at the end of the day, that's why we're bringing it to the board. I think it's probably best for you all to decide what sort of policy you'd like to implement here.
I agree.
And
I
we
think it's
do
up to the
have,
discretion of the board.
and this would be, certainly, Madison, I'll let you weigh in on this. In this case, it's going to impact one of the trustees.
That's what I was going to ask if I should.
So
abstain.
you may not, I don't know. So Renee has recently retired. She's going to have some share plan money. This is one of the items that we need covered so that we can obviously pay her out, and we need to know, how to calculate that fund. Is this an item
Right.
therefore she should probably?
If she feels like this is a conflict of interest in terms of casting her vote, then she can abstain.
So, but certainly you can be part of the conversation. I mean, if you all want to have
Of course, yeah,
conversation.
she can be part of the conversation. She has every right to be. If the board feels that this would be a conflict of interest when it comes down to the vote, then she can excuse herself from voting, since it has a direct impact on her benefit payment.
Yeah, so my only question is, what's best for the pension member? Does it really matter
It's-
either way that much?
So you have two things that'll be impacted that I can kind of come to mind. One is the timing of the payout. Obviously, if you go the route of quarter end, the quarter that's ended already, the most recent quarter end, then you can go ahead and do the calculation, pay them out. If you're using the quarter end of the quarter they retire within, then you have to wait till that quarter ends, and then you have to wait for all the investment returns. So there could be theoretically, somebody retires at the beginning of the quarter, you got 3 months plus another month and a half or so to gather all the information. So you could end up with a 4 or 5 month delay in getting that check. I don't know how much that ultimately matters to retiree. They're going to get it, just how soon. So that's one impact, is how soon. And then the other impact, and this just is kind of luck of the draw, is which quarter is better. And that's of course going to fluctuate always.
Two questions. Historically, how has this been done?
This is the first one.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I believe this will be the second one.
Okay.
It was done once before, but there's nothing that we could see on record that actually said this is the way it's done. So we thought it might be best to have some sort of policy on record.
Yeah. Just from my end, I would think it would make more sense to look at the previous quarter as opposed to having a retiree have to guess what the market's gonna do between now and quarter end, because that could be up or down an enormous amount, but especially with the volatility. At least you have the known quantity, and it's set there in stone, basically, as of the end of that quarter. So, I mean, from my perspective, I just think it's safer for the retirees, and we know what that number is. It's a solid number, and there's no risk to the board, to the fund itself by utilizing that trailing number.
Well, and I don't disagree with what you said. Let me give you one clarification as it relates to share plan. So share plan is a finite amount of money. And what that is it's a set dollar amount. Each participant in the plan is earning a share, so a credit for each year of service. You get a share.
Oh, I get it.
So the way it works is you have this set finite pool of money. Somebody goes to retire, and let's just do easy math. Let's say there's 10 people in the share plan, and all of them have 10 years of service. So they would each have 10 shares, right? So if somebody goes to retire, and we would say, okay, there's 10 people with 10 shares, so there's 100 outstanding shares. That person has 10 shares, so they have 10% of it. So we look and see how much money's in the share plan, and they get a check for 10% of that fund. So the fairness, we want to be fair with this, but the fairness is not related to the plan, it's related to the other participants of the plan, because they're all they're all sharing that pooled amount. So if somebody wins, somebody else loses. Now, in any scenario, you're probably gonna have one person win, or the retiree is gonna maybe get out a little more, get out a little less, because it's not gonna be the exact day that they retire that we calculate it based on. So you're never gonna have it work out exactly perfect, but the winners and losers in this case are just either the remaining participants in the share plan or the retiree based upon which closing date we use to determine the investment.
Got it. Yeah, I was correlating it more towards like balance forward accounting versus daily valuation, utilizing the prior values and things of that sort. And that get kind of squirrely, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, it's certainly it's simpler if you use a quarter that's already ended, but you can go either way. There's no technically right or wrong.
I agree, it's important just to make a decision, just so it isn't stone, because it'll happen, 14 more times, I guess, right? So.
My inclination is also to use the quarter that's already ended. Any other discussion or thoughts?
Can we put that in the form of a motion?
I would- certainly, if you all are done with discussion, I think a motion and.
I would ask how it was treated the first time it was done. And for consistency, do we need to treat it that way the second time?
The first time was my note, so my notes show that the first time was actually done the other way, where it was done the quarter in which the individual did terminate. So they waited till the end of that quarter and did it that way.
Do we have any idea how that was determined, or it was just kind of on the fly?
I don't, not without doing some more research, I'm not sure. But there's no legal document that states that, which is why we wanted to bring it to
There's
you all
nothing in
to
our
have something.
governing
Right,
plan
right.
document, okay.
Right.
And I'd like to make a motion, but I'd be really willing to get some feedback as far as how to phrase that motion, possibly, so as to recognize the end of the previous quarter being the determination date.
I think that works.
Oh, so moved. Is there a second? Second. There we go.
Any discussion or questions? I'll just ask the board, do you feel there's a conflict of interest that I should abstain, or are you guys comfortable with me voting, or?
That'd be for our attorneys. No, it's in abundance of caution, I would probably suggest you abstain for it, because I think you have 3 votes here anyway, so.
I agree with that, yeah.
I would recommend abstaining as well, just, if you have a quorum and you're able to pass this motion, without your vote, that would be my recommendation.
Okay. I'll go ahead and abstain from the vote, but all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I guess that could be an issue down the road if somebody else retired and they wanted to wait and say, well, you didn't, you weren't, your conflict of interest. Just take care of that completely.
Yep, I agree. Next item is trustee reappointment. We had a resignation I think that was that Paula and, is it Mike?
Yeah, both, yeah, your two city appointee, or sorry, one was
One was the board.
it was the fifth seat, and then one was a city appointee, which obviously they filled the city
yeah.
appointee seat. So we still, the board would need to then find the fifth trustee. Let me just make sure I believe that's correct, right? Yeah, the board appointee. So that's, and I believe there was some applications put forward, but there was two of them that we have, but neither individual made it today. So I don't believe there's a requirement that they're here for you all to vote somebody into that seat.
Okay.
However, I also don't know if they're still in. One person reached out and said that it was a last second conflict that came up, and so it wasn't that they didn't want to be here. The other individual, my understanding is just didn't respond.
From what I understand, we haven't heard from the other
Okay.
applicant.
So I think the board could, you've got a couple ways, I guess you could, if you're interested in one of the individuals, maybe for instance, the one that wanted to attend but couldn't, or if you just want to hold off till the next meeting to either entertain new people or see if one of those two or both of those individuals make it to the next meeting, however you all see fit to try to move forward.
I know Levi.
Yeah?
Yeah, he works for Largo Fire. I actually know him.
Is he the one that was going to be here today?
Might have been, yeah. The other guy, I think I know that name too, but I can't put a face to it.
Are the board appointees typically firefighters or former firefighters now?
Not always.
Okay.
There is actually, for this seat, for the book, so the makeup of the board, you may have already got this, two city appointees, two individuals, participants in the plan elected by the other firefighters.
Oh, okay.
And then you four trustees sitting up here now, you all decide who the fifth seat is, and that person can actually literally be
It can be
anybody.
anybody.
Okay.
Yep.
My inclination probably would be just to pass to the next meeting, ask both the people to show up here and ask a few questions, and one shows up and one doesn't, that kind of gives us a little direction, I think. So, things do happen, but I'd be more comfortable having somebody in here.
I agree.
But we'll defer to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Just ask the city to send an invite out to those folks.
Okay. Or obviously if they have any new, or new individuals, and certainly if you all have any recommendations, you can always, put somebody forward yourselves.
Yeah, the clerk's office, they can put something back out on social media for
Okay.
candidates.
So yeah, we'll have that back on your agenda at the next meeting then as well.
And then pension board election results, which I believe was my seat. Yeah, and I was reelected for 2 years.
It sounds like nobody was even willing to challenge you.
No, they were not.
It was a vigorous campaign.
Okay, so next item is the audited pension fund financial statement.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm John Hauser, the auditor for the plan. For 2024, the board elected to have a separate report. I believe you have a hard copy of the report, as well as a separate, what's called a communication of those charged with governance. A little two-page, separate, unbound report. So we have completed the audit. We've issued our auditor's reports and the communication report. Both reports are dated March 17th, 2025. So we're doing much better than last year. When were we here? October or really almost, we were in the next audit cycle. The communication of those charged with governance report, notes the following items, just I'll highlight, not go through every paragraph, but there were no new accounting policies adopted during the year, and there are no changes to the existing policies. The financial notes, some are particularly sensitive, and that would be note D within the bound report, which is disclosure of the plan's funded status. We had no difficulties in dealing with management during the audit, no proposed journal entries, and no disagreements with management. The bound report, separate report, page 1 in the bound report, or page 191 in the agenda packet. Basically, it just is an unmodified opinion that the financial statements fairly present the financial position results of operations during the year. We do have comparative information for 24 and 23. There was no separate report for 23. The last one was 2021, I believe. So it's been on a rotational basis that you get or request the separate report. Otherwise, it's included within the annual comprehensive financial report of the city. So this just kind of extracts all that information and gives a little more disclosure. Page 16 in the bound report, or page 207 in the agenda packet, is our report on internal control. It's the last page in the bound report. So we're pleased to report we didn't note any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal control, and no instance of non-compliance with laws or regulations. So the statements begin on page 3 in the bound report, or page 193 in the agenda packet. The first statement is the statement of fiduciary net position. Assets, liabilities, and net position. The total assets were up $2.3 million, or 26%, for the year. Quite a change. Total liabilities, relatively the same, increased about 140. We're talking about the share plan. This is a liability due to share plan of $865, which is the finance pool of money that Jeremy was referring to. That really is a component of the investments that you have overall. It's like the plan holds those funds in the statements Jeremy was presenting earlier. So the assets minus the liabilities is your net position, about $10.6 million, or an increase of about $2.2 million over the prior year. Page 4 in the bound copy, or page 194 in the agenda packet, are the additions and deductions for the statement of changes in the net position. Additions are all the contributions, the fire insurance premium tax, and the investment return. So additions were up $1.2 million, and that's primarily in the investment return. Investment return was 1.7 compared to 600 in 2023. So it was up over $1 million, as well as the city's contribution was up 143,000. That percentage was one of the highest the city's had in a while. And that's all off of the actuarial valuations that you get, which are affected by your discount rates and the return on investments. Deductions consist of benefit payments and administrative charges. Considering there were no change in the beneficiaries, the increase in those benefit payments was the normal 3% cost of living built-in increase. Administrative charges, relatively the same. We'll look at those in one of the notes within the statement, but they were up about 2,300. My recollection right off was that legal expenses were down, but they were offset by an increase in admin fees, and we'll look at it in the note. So overall increase of 2.2 million to end up with net position of around 10.6. So following these statements are the notes to the financial. I did mention note D, and then there's the administrative. Let's go to page 11 or page 201 in the agenda packet. And note G is the administrative expenses, and legal fees were down from almost 20 down to around 12,000. The other was the investment fees were from around 12 to around 18, and an increase in the admin fees of about 37.50. And you know, the investment fees are based on the valuation of the account. So of course, if the account value goes up, your investment fees will go up. The admin fee was new in 2023, and so it's not that it went up to 5,500. It's just that's a full year. The offset of the legal fee decrease with the investment fees and the admin fees, all the others were somewhat immaterial. Let's look at page 8 or page 198 in the agenda pack. And this is note D, the plan's funded status. Many of the years the plan has excess funding. That is, the net position is more than the actuarial liability. And at 9/30/24, that was around 500,000 in excess, so the plan was funded 105% roughly. The actuarial valuation was 10/1/23. I know you've already received your 10/1/24 valuation, which sets the discount rate, the city's contribution rate, and the firefighters' rate is fixed at 5%. The variables are the insurance tax monies that you get and the investment returns. And so if you look on the next page, page 9, or page, what is that, 199 in the agenda pack, you'll see about in the middle of the page the comparison of the liability or asset if that discount rate changes by 1%. So in the center column, you'll see the discount rate at 7%, which was what it was determined to be in that valuation year. Well, if your return is better, it's 1% more or 8%, your asset now goes up to $1.8 million. If that return goes from 7% down to 6%, your asset goes away, and now all of a sudden you got an unfunded liability of 1.1. So that's somewhat of how the discount rate affects that, whether you have the asset or the liability. Page 14 and 15, or page 205 and 206 in the agenda packet, gives 10 years of historical information as far as the changes in the pension liability. It gives from 2015 to 2024. If you look at the column called funded percentage, majority of the years you're over 100%. There were 3 years within this 10-year period that it was less than 100%. 1 year it was 98%, practically 100. 2019, 2022, and 2023, But overall, its performance has basically met the funding liability. Then on page 14 and 15, pages 205 and 206 in the agenda package. Once again, 2015 to 2024, the history of the liability or the asset, the funded percentage, the covered payroll, and your annual weighted average rate of return. And there was a loss overall in only 1 year, 2022. Every other year, the performance has been, last year, 19.87%. Okay, so we're ancient history here, 9/30/24, and I think we were seeing that, hey, we're happy that it went up 1%. The real estate fund, was that it? 1%?
Actually, that would be the real estate fund.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you'd be even otherwise.
Yeah, so I'd like to thank the staff and management for their assistance during this time, especially Amy and Cindy, of course. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to address them at this time.
Any questions for John?
No. Looks great. Great job.
Thank you, John.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you. Accept this.
Yes.
I'd like to move to accept the auditor's report on the record.
I'll second. Any discussion or questions? I know it's a lot of information.
I did read through it before, so,
Okay.
yeah. Well, last year's, 2022, 2023.
No questions, then motion, sorry. See, retirement, see what this means? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Thank you. And did I see we need to approve payment for this as well? Or was that already approved?
It's already gone, but it was after these statements had come.
Okay. Next item is Form 1 reminder.
Yes, July 1st. Remember, those are due every year. And if you recall, last year was the first time that we went to the online. And of course, it's going forward, it's all online. From what I understand, this year is just that much simpler. It will like repopulate what you did. And obviously, if you have to make any adjustments or anything, but other than that, it's my understanding is it's quick and easy. So please do that by July 1st. Have you done one yet? Are you familiar with what we're talking about? No. Okay, so coming onto the board, which the good news due to the timing will cover your one that would be due July 1st as well. So it's a financial disclosure form. It will look a little potentially intimidating at first. You do not have to be overly specific. You can be very general with what you fill out. The biggest key is just to do one.
Okay.
Do you all have her set up? Because she'll have to use whatever you all are the ones that set her up for her to log in through the state to do
I
that.
think I got that information in an envelope today.
Okay,
To
good.
set it up, yeah.
So you'll need to go on there, log in, fill it out for the first time. My understanding is it's not, so last year was the first time they did it online. I don't believe they could probably say better than I could. I don't believe it was terribly difficult. And then going forward after that, I think it's
Is it?
really
Okay.
easy.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
And then is that form then subject to sunshine laws available for the public?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is that form then available for the public?
I would have to imagine it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
public record, I believe.
I haven't personally had anybody come to us. So we are your record keeper as well,
Chime
so.
in, like, so by the time it's really about one hour, that
I don't think she started us.
probably on the website, you can purchase
Not here.
these for
Madison?
$1.
Madison? Can you hear me? Madison? When you were talking, we couldn't really understand you.
Sounds like Charlie Brown,
Can't, no. We can tell you're talking, oh,
Yeah,
and
she's-
gone. Okay. My understanding is it probably is
Okay.
subject to that.
Okay.
So being your record keeper, public, records requests like that typically, well, they might come to city first, they'll usually pass them on to us. The good news is, I don't recall seeing
Okay.
it done,
Right.
but it doesn't mean, not going to mean. But again, don't get overly specific.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's, and then as long as you're on this board, July 1st, it'll be due every
Okay.
year. Rinse
I'm
and
assuming
repeat.
there will be reminders at some point.
We'll have it on we'll always have it on your meeting,
Great, perfect.
your last meeting before July 1st,
All right.
as a reminder.
So remind me, the city clerk will send us a link to do that? I forget how we did that last year.
Do you have somebody at the city who typically sends reminders to them as well?
I know the clerk's office does or not.
Okay.
That would be, if possible, adding them to the clerk's list of reminders, sending out an email with the link, that would be great for your all's benefit.
I remember getting
Clerk to do
emails
that.
from her last year.
Okay. A lot of, I don't mean to put them on the spot, but a lot of places the clerk will help with that. It's certainly a nice benefit if they are willing to. Because presumably they're already doing it for all their other boards as well, so.
Right. Any other questions on Form 1? Next item is our attorney report. See, Madison made it back.
Hi, can you hear me?
You're kind of cut in and out every other word or so.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
better.
Now we got you.
Hello? Yes. No, I don't have anything to report on besides the Form 1, and I just was trying to inform the board that all of the Form 1 are public records on the Florida Commission on Ethics website.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's all for me.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. If nothing else, just need a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madison.
Next meeting, July 10th, it looks like.
Yes. And is that also,
Yeah, July 10th. Is that?
10 o'clock?
Yeah, we'd be back to the 10, well, let me just confirm that's what I have, but I think we'd be back to the 10 o'clock slot.
Typical meeting is an hour or so.
yeah.
I know a couple meetings ago, we kind of set the schedule for the next certain months. Maybe at the next meeting, we want to go ahead and fire that.
Typically, what we historically do is the last calendar year meeting, we'll set them for the following calendar year.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah, I have 10 o'clock on my schedule.
I have 10. I mean, do you all need to tweak that at all, or is that still good?
That's great.
No, that's fine.
I'm sorry, what was the date? You said July?
July 10th? Oh, and then I'll go, well, here, let me go ahead and give you, we should have one more on the books for this year. And then October 14th at 10. So, certainly if it's an issue, we can talk about, but if it's not an issue, then at the October meeting, we would talk about the 4 dates for the following year.
For 14th.
That'll be the last one of the year, right? October?
I'm sorry?
October is the last one of the year.
Yes.
January would be next one, I guess, probably.
Yep.
26. Where'd time go?
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Is that agenda then will be in our email on a go-forward basis? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's on that
the-
board vantage thing too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what we used to do, is we'd send an email and usually there would be just a link and it'd be like to a OneDrive that we have in the agenda there. We just switched, earlier this year to a board software management program that we're using. You'll still get an email with a link, but if you click on the link, now it's gonna take you into that software platform. If you're on your computer, you can use a web browser, but there's apps for iPads, phones as well. So it's kind of however you want to access it.
Okay.
Did you get that from Joyce at all? You haven't gotten that yet?
No, because I didn't have a City of Oldsmar email set up yet, and I
Okay.
have that information here.
But we do, okay.
But I do now, so I need to reach back out to her with that information.
Yeah, if you'll let her know, and then she'll send you the login information. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So you'll still get, you'll still get an email, hey, here's the agenda, and the
Okay.
link will then take you into that software.
okay. Yeah, I have the hard copy here, so. but-
So the only extra step is just initially signing up for the program. Then after that,
Oh, great, okay. That makes it easy. Thank you.
So we can actually in the calendar invites that she sent for the meeting.
I believe it may be there as well. But then you'll get, it sends out an email as well when the agenda's finished and
Okay,
published.
and I'll see that, because because I was kind of a last minute thing, I didn't get a calendar invite for this specific meeting. She just told me the time to be here, so I'll look for that in the next. Do you have, can you tell me, this, my bound copy is missing the first page of the audit report. Can you just tell me the date on it?
September 30, 24?
Not the year end, but the actual, the report date.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. They're not dated? Oh, here it is, March 17th. Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's
Sorry,
at the
I just
end.
missed it. Yep.
Were you missing something? Do you want?
There was a, just the first page of the audit report. It's not a big deal, but, okay.
Right,
Page-
Georgia, I can be up there for the weekend. Georgia? Yeah. What part?
This was one.
In Marble Hill, which is near Jasper, Dawsonville. It's in Georgia Park. We're building a
Okay, great.
breaking ground hopefully in another month or so. It'll be summer times from now on.
I have a lot of family up in Georgia.
It's great.
A little light reading.
I have an in-law that
Excellent.
lives in Albany. and
Okay,
I know
I
about
appreciate that.
You'll see him, but there's a line from like Columbus to Augusta.
Yeah,
I guess you
excellent.
want to be.
It's a good thing.
We're about an hour.
Nothing wrong
north
with some
of, Atlanta.
consistency on a board like
mountains a
this.
little bit.
It's a challenging topic, so.